History is set to be made at the Vatican, with King Charles to become the first British monarch in 500 years to pray with the Pope. And he has much to pray for, as scandals involving his brother Prince Andrew refuse to go away. A lifelong observer of British royalty is Victoria Arbiter. Victoria, thank you so much for your time. Of course, wars have been fought between Catholics and the Church of England. So just how significant is this service tonight in the Sistine Chapel?
Good evening to both of you. Well, this service is going to be especially important to King Charles. Like his late mother, he is a profoundly religious man, but he's also long been a proponent for interfaith tolerance, respect and understanding. And that's what we are going to see on full display here. The King and Queen arrived in Rome last night, where they were greeted by representatives from the Holy See. The last time they were there was back in April, when they met privately with Pope Francis shortly before he died. But today we will see the two of them meeting with Pope Leo at the Vatican before attending that service at the Sistine Chapel, which will bring together Anglican and Catholic clergy, as well as royal and Vatican choirs. Where really we're going to see history being made, however, is when we see the King pray alongside the Pope, as you mentioned there, becoming the first British monarch to do so since the 16th century. Now, by convention, we typically don't see British monarchs at prayer because it is such a deeply personal and private act. But convention is being set aside today for a beautiful display of togetherness and unity between these two leaders of their respective churches.
The symbolism is all, but I've got to say, Victoria, the distinctly unholy ghost of Prince Andrew hovers over the King right now, because new claims have emerged from Andrew's biographer. What's that all about?
Well, gosh, another day, another round of claims, allegations and rumours. Yes, these claims that you are referring to are from a biographer called Andrew Lowney. He is not Andrew's official biographer, but it just so happens that he's published a book at a very opportune time for himself. These latest allegations are related to women that Prince Andrew reportedly asked friends and staff to procure for him. He was particularly drawn to blondes and ballerinas. But with all of these allegations, it's hard to know, of course, what is true, because other than that disastrous interview that Prince Andrew conducted for Newsnight back in 2019, we haven't heard directly from him. I think this renewed focus really is more about Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir that was published this week. The accounts are harrowing, very disturbing, and really truly horrific to think what this young lady went through, how little help she was given, to a point where she opted to take her own life earlier this year. That's where the true tragedy is. So my hope is, as much as we're talking about Prince Andrew, is that a broader conversation is going to start, so that we can start talking about all the other individuals that were in Epstein's circle. Yeah, very sad story indeed. This has obviously captivated the world, but the British Parliament is now taking an interest as well, with the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, backing an inquiry into Prince Andrew's tenancy at Royal Lodge. Where do you think this is all heading? Well, really, as these negative headlines and these rumours continue to escalate, it does mean that senior politicians and MPs are being drawn into the conversation, and rightly so. Some might argue that this story has been around for well over a decade, and politicians could have got involved much sooner. But they are talking about inquiries now. I think they are responding to the court of public opinion and this sort of trial by social media and indeed the media itself. Where does it leave Prince Andrew? They are talking about conducting an inquiry into further transparency related to his finances, and indeed how it is that he's able to afford Royal Lodge, which is 30-room mansion in the grounds of Windsor Great Park. And yes, how is he affording that? Because when we look at what the King has done so far, he's seen to it that he's not allowed to use his titles. He's removed his police protection. He's removed his funding. He's seen use of his HRH style be taken away, along with those military patronages and honours. What else can he do at this point? The King is aware that his brother continues to deny these allegations, and without any kind of formal investigation by the authorities, without a charge, a conviction or an admission of criminal wrongdoing, there's only so much he can do. But I think certainly this government inquiry, if indeed it does go ahead, is going to get an awful lot of attention.
Just one thing that could yet happen. He's still called a prince. He's given up all those titles, but he's still a prince. I understand an Act of Parliament can remove that from him. Is anyone talking about anything like that?
Yes, they very much are. Now, the Act of Parliament would relate to the dukedom, and the dukedom is what was the wedding gift from the Queen on his wedding day. The dukedom is the title that he has voluntarily. I say voluntarily loosely because King Charles certainly was behind that move for him to stop using that. When it comes to the princely title, that's when that falls to the king. Now, the king could issue new letters patent demanding that that princely title be removed. But I think this is where the king is in a very difficult position because, as we've already mentioned, Andrew continues to deny these allegations. He hasn't been convicted of a crime. So where do you draw the line? Because you remove that princely title, then the public is going to demand more and more and more, and it is never going to be enough. So what we really need to see Andrew do is take accountability and voluntarily speak to the authorities and help them with their inquiries. That's where he's going to start to get a little bit of relief from this public battering.
In the meantime, the king might want to stay in Rome and avoid all this. Victoria, Arbiter, thank you so much for your insight as always.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.